There's a belief that Juan Soto of the Washington Nationals is available for trade. But is the asking price too high even for the Dodgers? No more Mr. Nice chit chat. The LA Galaxy may have hit rock bottom and one player is pissed. And a second player has quit UCLA football in the last 2 months, which leads to a variety of interesting questions to me. Good morning, I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is Faithful Angelenos. It is July 17th, 2022. This is our 5-month anniversary, and I want to start off by thanking the new subscribers who have joined our channel over the time. We have way exceeded the goals that people who follow YouTube set for the number of subscribers you should get in that amount of time. I'm extremely thankful. If you like the content we've been putting out over the last 5 months, clickety-clack the like button, clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. Hit that. It'll tell you when we put out new videos. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And yes, comments, because I like that stuff. Let's get to the scoreboard. Last night, 4 Dodger home runs, 2 of them from Trey Turner. Dodgers 7, Anaheim 1. The Dodgers 9.5 game lead in the NL West. Let's be real, that race is toast. They've improved to 60-30 heading into the All-Star break. Meanwhile, in MLS, up in Colorado, Galaxy's just straight up face planting every time they're taking the pitch. We did a rapid recap last night. You can see it on the Galaxy portion of this channel. But the final score last night, Colorado 2, Galaxy 0. The only match involving LA teams today is in MLS. LAFC, they fly back east to take on Nashville. Manager Steve Cherundolo did not confirm whether Europeans legendary striker Gareth Bale or Italian legendary defender Giorgio Chiellini will play tonight. Dodgers starting pitcher Tyler Anderson has been added to the All-Star team roster. That makes 5 Dodgers overall who will take part in the game, which is on Tuesday at Dodger Stadium. This is his first All-Star game nomination, and it's a beautiful thing for a variety of reasons. He was a journeyman pitcher. He was last seen in Colorado. He took the bull by the horns, as they say, when Andrew Heaney got hurt earlier this year. Anderson just never looked back. He's 10-1 with a 2.96 ERA. He leads the Dodgers in innings pitched. Surprise, surprise. And we have an added bonus. 1 more Dodger, 1 less San Francisco Giant. Beautiful thing. Nationals phenom Juan Soto has turned down a massive contract extension of almost $500 million. So that's leading to speculation that he might be on the trade market. Now, today in the LA Times, columnist Dylan Hernandez wrote what I thought was actually a very thoughtful piece, trying to build a case as to why the Dodgers should trade for Juan Soto, even if it means including their best prospect, Diego Cartoya. Now, I'm acknowledging it was a very intelligently written piece. I am skeptical the Dodgers will make that move for a number of reasons, so I'm going to count them down. First of all, the Dodgers already have the best offense in the NL. Second, there's no way in God's green earth that Washington is going to provide the Dodgers any salary cap relief. Remember, the Dodgers, in Major League Baseball, the more that you spend on your players, the more the Major League Baseball penalizes you. And the Dodgers are right up against the strongest possible punishment for terms of salary when you pay it out to players. So the Nationals, I don't think they're going to help the Dodgers out at all. Would they take, as part of a massive package, would they take Cody Bellinger? Would they take Max Muncy? Would they take Justin Turner? No, no, and no. They would want the Dodgers to literally flush all of the elite prospects out of the Dodgers system to help them out, not the Dodgers. So those are reasons as well. Moreover, you're saying, well, the Dodgers haven't had a problem paying fines before for going over salary caps. True. But we got a hint this spring that the Dodgers are starting to tap the brakes a little bit. They had the option to re-sign closer Kenley Jansen. Do you remember? But they let him go. And it wasn't because Kenley Jansen wasn't producing. It was because they didn't want to pay that super duper mega double secret probation level salary cap tax. So why would they do it for Juan Soto? Despite Juan Soto's greatness. Also, I would argue that Washington would probably look for salary cap relief on its own. They have multiple overpriced starting pitchers. They would love to get rid of one of them, particularly Steven Strasburg. You remember him? He used to be an elite pitcher. Now he's got an ERA of 13.5 and a massive salary. They would love to get rid of Steven Strasburg as part of that. But here's the problem with that. Aside from the fact that it would push the Dodgers way over that limit that we mentioned earlier, there's a secondary problem. The Dodgers have already done that. They didn't just trade for Mookie Betts a couple of years ago. They included David Price in the deal, even though David Price, a former Cy Young pitcher, is no longer a Cy Young Award winning level pitcher. We haven't even seen David Price pitch, a handful of times this year at most? We don't even know if he's in the bullpen. But they're paying his salary. Do the Dodgers want to do that again? And then we still haven't even mentioned whether or not the Dodgers are going to pony up to keep the guy extended. So there's a variety of reasons to say the Dodgers, just in this case, are going to have to let it pass. Now, I could be wrong. The Dodgers have the resources, and they are desperately wanting to win as many titles as they can. But do they? LA Galaxy defenseman Derrick Williams has called out the team, particularly his other defensemen, for lack of team effort after last night's game. Quote, "The manager gives us clear instructions, and there's times where people don't want to do that. Some people just have their own agendas," unquote. Which brings to mind a question. He didn't mention the name. Who is he talking about? Now, by process of elimination, I think I might know who, but again, it's just me speculating, okay? Number one, it can't be Nick Dupuis because he's only a spot starter. It can't be Chase Gaspar. Gaspar only played in his first match for the Galaxy last night. Now, it could be Sega Coulibaly. It could be. But Coulibaly didn't play last night. And that leaves just one person off the top of my head. Julian Araujo. Now, if you think about it, if you watched last night's game, you could make the argument that Julian Araujo fell asleep at the wheel and allowed the Colorado Rapids to move into scoring position, which they converted. You could also most definitely argue that Julian Araujo was responsible Wednesday for 2 of the goals that were allowed to the worst team in the Western Conference, San Jose. And this isn't the first time that Araujo, who, by the way, was once considered an elite prospect for the Galaxy to sell off, he's not an elite prospect now. He gets nominated to go up to the Mexican national team. He never even leaves the bench for El Tri. He's been letting in a lot of goals this year. Is it possible that wunderkind Julian Araujo just isn't that good, or is being called out by his teammates? Also in MLS, Philadelphia Union executive Ernst Tanner, we brought up this story yesterday. He implied that LAFC gamed the system to land Gareth Bale. He didn't accuse it, he just implied it, and MLS implied that Tanner needs to break out his checkbook to pay a hefty fine. Nobody likes their integrity being questioned. You better have some proof. ESPN has 2 hosts talking NBA. They debated whether Lakers' Russell Westbrook is unfairly criticized. Now, do I have a reaction to that? Yes, I do. I am not going to participate in a debate with a jackass on ESPN who nicknames himself Mad Dog. If you want me to have an intellectual debate, don't name yourself after an animal licking its own testicles making sports takes. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to have an intellectual conversation with somebody who claims that they have rabies. It's not happening. As for what I think about Russell Westbrook, said it a million times, don't need to repeat it. Not that big a deal. And neither, by the way, should you treat anybody as a big deal when they give themselves a nickname, particularly Mad Dog. We've been following The Athletic. They've been ranking the top 125 players in the NBA. LeBron James and Kawhi Leonard both came in at about, say, 7 and 8. Now, regarding LeBron James, the writer correctly notes that predicting the decline of LeBron James will make you look stupid because he's been effective for so bloody long. But he makes the very good point of saying that this season will determine if LeBron James can still carry a team on his back. Very fair critique, very fair. Because the signs of decline overall are very subtle at least, i.e. getting these little nickel-dime injuries that keep him out for a game or two. LeBron, the last couple of years, he misses, say, 15, 20 games a year. His first year in LA, he missed a massive chunk when he tore his groin. Injuries just happen. The body breaks down, right? Over time. And by the way, speaking of injuries, that's what also dropped Kawhi Leonard on the list. He missed the entire year last year for the Clippers. So therein lies the rub. USC women's basketball recruit Aaliyah Gales, who was shot 10 times in April at a Las Vegas house party. She walked on her own power into a USC practice on Thursday. Her teammates were startled. They were overjoyed. They ran up, surrounded her. It's actually a very beautiful scene, very inspiring, especially when you consider, again, it's only a couple of months removed from April and she's walking on her own. They did release a clip about a month and a half ago of her trying to walk using those little balance beam-like things that they have in a hospital. So her recovery is absolutely remarkable. It's absolutely remarkable. Now, I'm not saying that she's going to be playing this fall because the walk didn't exactly look all that graceful, to be frank. But you can't help but not be happy for this girl. Teenager gets shot 10 times? Come on. Offensive lineman Thomas Cole has retired from football for UCLA. He confessed that he attempted suicide last year as part of mentioning his retirement. And now he says football, quote, is not conducive to my mental health, unquote. He doesn't hate UCLA, he doesn't hate his teammates, but for whatever reason, which he did not list, it's just simply not conducive to his mental health. Now, first of all, this is the right call. As much as we love sports, it's obvious. We don't want, no, it's not worth it, right? The idea of being pushed to the brink of suicide. And so therefore, obviously, I hope the man has a great life. But if you take a step back, it raises many interesting questions that I'm not going to claim to have the answer for because I'm not a mental health expert, right? But some of these questions might be a little uncomfortable. Okay? Because if we take a step back, 2 Bruin football players have retired in the last 2 months, citing mental health. These are the uncomfortable questions. The first thing you have to ask yourself, which is uncomfortable, is it a fluke? And I don't think it is, but that's just speculation. Is it a fluke? Doubtful. Which brings us to another uncomfortable question. Does UCLA have an environment that messes with your head? I have no idea. It's rampant, uncool speculation. I don't have the evidence. But the question has to be asked. Does UCLA have something inside what they do that adds unnecessary stress to a young man's mind? Or 3, just as uncomfortable, and again, not an expert, is suicidal behavior even more common than we want to admit when we're talking about young people in highly competitive industries, such as college football, which is the gateway to playing professional football. There's a lot of people in college football clearly trying to reach the NFL, obviously, right? The reason I ask this question is I am a former stand-up comic, and I know a lot of comics who commit suicide. I know more people who have committed suicide than a lot of other people. This does not make me an expert on suicide, not in the slightest. But I'm starting to look at comedy and sports, and I see some similarities that that idea of just going out and getting ground into a powder in the crucible that is Hollywood, or the crucible that is major college sports. You're a young person, you're getting up, you're doing the same thing day after day. You have no idea if you're going to quote unquote make it, right? And then after a while, I can see these people asking themselves, does this mean anything? Am I worthwhile? Am I supposed to be on this planet? If everything I'm doing is for naught, what is the purpose of life? These are the questions that I think some young people, or even some middle-aged people who have supposedly succeeded in comedy, ask themselves. Now, for me, to be frank, I was extremely happy when I was a comic. I made a lot of friends. I met my wife in comedy. There's no way in God's green earth I would have ever met my wife in journalism. But the question has to be asked. What is it that is leading these young athletes at UCLA to consider suicide? It's a deep question, but hey, Sunday's a day to reflect. Now, if you enjoyed today's broadcast, don't forget to like and subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We are trying to build something here for LA sports. I'm James. Thank you for watching. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corta El Queso production. Take care.